we're here today with Beth Hall of Silverstar. My name is Heike Heyman with I Do Share Business Coaching, and we're having a conversation on behalf of the Informed Entrepreneur. Good afternoon, Beth. How are you?
Good afternoon. Very well. Thank you so much for coming in today to do this. I'm very excited.
I appreciate you taking the time out to share some information with our viewers. So,
you're welcome.
For starters, let's talk a little bit about what Silverstar is. You mentioned several divisions and who the co-owners are. Turns out it's not just you.
Yes, that's very true. So Silverstar Service Center has been our family business for the last 30 years. My Silverstar, we're located in Edgewater, Maryland. We focus on the sales and service of European vehicles. It includes myself, my father, Joe, and my brother, Joseph. My father focuses on the management portion of the business, shoveling paperwork around, and then my brother helps to manage the service and auto repair division. I handle the sales and also our new tag and title business that we are running here.
Which actually has a lot of components to it. You had mentioned you have some extended hours and you service not just your car, but anything else that fits in the driveway. So
that is right. That is right. So the tag and title business, we are available 24/7 by appointment. That way, if I have a customer that needs to meet at 7:30 before they go to work, or if they need to meet at 7:30 at night after work, I'm here for them. We make an appointment. We get everything set up. That way, you're in and out in about 10 or 15 minutes. You have tags for your vehicle. Or, like you mentioned, we can do other things. We can do boats, trailers, mopeds, motorcycles, you name it, we can do it, as long as it's not a driver's license.
Right.
We can't issue driver's license, but we can do everything else the FAA does. Much simpler and faster.
And you can do specialty tags.
That is right. We are partnered with the Chesapeake Bay Trust Organization, and which is it's somewhat a vanity plate for the state of Maryland. It helps to represent the Chesapeake Bay. It's an additional $20, but you also get to be part of their membership perks program, where you have specialty parking all over Annapolis at restaurants and parking garages, as well as discounts at retailers in our area.
Which is fantastic.
That's right. That's
now,
right.
you mentioned that this is a generational business, and that often comes with some challenges.
That is true. We do run into some challenges. After being in the business for 30 years and doing this and growing up in this business, we have really found ways to help to try to resolve those issues. One of the things that we've been doing over the last year is meeting every Wednesday. We have lunch together, and then we will spend an hour, try not to be disturbed, spend an hour to focus on what we want to progress in the business, what we see that we need to make a change to or better for the business and for our employees. Then we will account for those accomplishments, what we have been able to complete, if we were able to do it earlier than we had planned. You know, that way it kind of boosts us for the next plan of action.
Right.
Some of the other complications that we may have in the business, they can show up at any time. You know, it may be something we can't wait till Wednesday. So we have communications. We have an interior messaging program that my father has put in place, so that way we can message from desks. We don't have to keep getting up and spend an hour going to each other's offices to discuss something. We send a short message, just like you would sending a text message to a family member or a friend.
Right, and I just really wanted to emphasize the different components of that Wednesday meeting. One of them is, what are we going to do? But one of the other ones is the accomplishments. So it's not just meeting for meeting's sake. It's really keeping track of where you've gone, and since you take minutes, it's something you can look back at and say, okay, this is where we've grown. This is something we might want to pursue. So that's a great way to handle it. And the other thing I wanted to emphasize too, these meetings are held off-site. So there aren't the interruptions from the phone calls and from people walking in the door. It's really time to focus on the business than just working in the business, which is very important.
That's true. And because a lot of I find talking to other family business owners that they do it in their own personal time. In the evening, they're calling and discussing problems, and you have to be able to live your life, but still have a career. You have to find a fine balance, and it's very hard. Sometimes it's very challenging to have that, but you have to keep that in mind with how you prioritize your work, how you prioritize your life schedule.
Right.
And it's very important to do so, because otherwise you're not going to be the friendliest person to deal with. You're going to be very stressed out, tired, and we can't do that in our business because we are a service to the community.
Right.
We're not just selling products out of a factory where you're not dealing with us one-on-one every day. Our customers, anytime they come into our business, are dealing directly with one of the owners.
Yes. Right. But you had mentioned you actually have a good-sized team here.
We do, and that's right. We have 10 employees here, multiple positions. We have employees that have been here for many years. We don't like having quick turnaround time with our employees, so we're pretty particular when it comes to the hiring procedure and who we bring on board. We want to make sure that they're on the same page we are with how to deal with our customers.
Right.
It's important, even down to the gentleman who cleans the cars before the customers pick them up. We wash and vacuum every car before it goes out from service. So it's really important that even down to that employee, he understands how important his position is here, and that he feels that he is respected for that and what he does for us.
Right. That is certainly very important to minimize turnover as well.
That's right.
Now, you had mentioned earlier that you didn't come to this business straight from school, even though you grew up in it.
That's
you actually worked elsewhere and gained considerable experience before returning. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Certainly. I have been a manager at many different companies, many different establishments. Everything from a shoe store, where I really gained a lot of my sales skills, believe it or not, to running a bed and breakfast downtown Annapolis, running boat dealerships. There's many different things I've done, and from each job I've really tried to pull the things that I've learned out of them and implement them into our business. Everywhere from the advertising and marketing to dealing with customers one-on-one, into dealing with our work process and how customers expect to be treated.
Right.
And what works or not works. It saved us a lot of time having some of the experiences I did. My father, even though he's the one that opened our business 30 years ago, there's a lot of things that he relies on me for the marketing because of all of the new social media and different ways to advertise that you can get into, and it's very minimal cost as long as you stay on top of it and know how to operate it.
Right.
So that's really come into play, those experiences. I'm glad you brought that up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, it helps, and you've throughout this shown a real willingness to learn and not just say, okay, this is how it's been done, we'll keep doing it, but you're actually the one responsible for adding the tag and title to the Silverstar business overall.
Very true, very true. And I've been really happy to add that to our company. We have doubled our customers in less than a year's time for the tag and title. I handle all of the marketing and advertising myself. I really don't believe in paying thousands of dollars out there to people who will say that they'll market your company properly. The way to market your company properly is taking care of your customers in turn for them to leave you a review.
Right.
If you were to pull up our Facebook page for the tag and title or the Google business page for the tag and title service, lists of them. And that's just over a year's worth of business because we've taken care of people. And it really shows that.
Yeah, and you mentioned they write entire paragraphs, not just great service.
It's a whole story, and it's so wonderful to have that as a business owner. That's literally what keeps me coming in and turning that key and opening my office door. Right,
because every business owner has those days when things just go wrong, and then to have that to fall back on is really motivational.
It really is motivational, and it's also a motivational factor for those next customers to come in and want to do business with you.
Absolutely.
8 out of 10 customers come to me, I came to you because of your reviews. I have no idea who you are, just like in any business.
Right.
They have no idea who you are and who your business is except for that you provide this service. But when they see those reviews, it's a personal experience now.
Yes. Now you mentioned also that you do quite a bit more on the marketing end than just social media in terms of your exposure in the community. You want to share a little bit about the importance of that?
I'll be glad to. I really feel that being part of your community and showing support to the other businesses in the community and the public is very important. One of the things that I've done recently, which was a real experience, is I helped at the Oyster Foundation. They're part of the Chesapeake Bay Trust down in Shadyside. I helped bag about 150 bags of oyster shells so that they could be replanted into the bay to create oysters. There's a whole process. It's a very interesting place to go and check out and volunteer your time. But the reason I did that is because it's giving back to the community. And just because we're in the car business doesn't mean we can't go volunteer and clean oyster shells. The oysters help our community. I don't know, I'm going to say this side note, but I found this fact very interesting. When back about 5 to 7 years ago, the oyster population could filter the bay in 2 to 3 days. It takes an entire year now for it to filter the bay properly.
Wow.
So that's why I chose to spend that time with that organization, because that's where we need to start. We need to filter all these pollutants out and move forward and make our community better.
That's fantastic. Yeah. It's a great attitude to have.
Thank you.
It really is. You also mentioned chambers of commerce and other organizations you participate in.
Definitely. There's been a couple of conferences that I've attended this year and that I've been invited to help represent. Women's conferences primarily, because it's an oddity to have a woman being part ownership of a car business. Still is today.
Right, right.
So it really, the things that I have to say, a lot of people they stop and listen a little bit. They listen to me because it's a shock to them.
Right.
So I've had a lot of the organizations in the area ask me to be part of their conferences, so that way that I'm there to represent businesses and what you can do as a woman.
Right.
You know, it's not just me in the car business.
Right.
There's women that run a lot of the, particular makes. Chevrolet, they run major departments. So it's not just myself, and it opens women's eyes up to, I can do that too.
Right, right. You're kind of a trailblazer. And in a way, the way you're describing it, it seems to actually be an advantage to be a woman in a male-oriented business because you stand out.
It's very true. It's very true, but it's very challenging. I've had customers where I do my sales department with. I'll have customers that will come in, easy sale. Then I do have those gentlemen and ladies that question, well, what do you know?
Right.
How do you know about cars? And so this is who I am.
Right.
And I can show you the product, give me a chance. And that's, sometimes I'll just flat out say, give me an opportunity, and then form your opinion.
Right.
And be gentle about it.
Yes.
Don't hurt any feelings.
That's great. The other thing that sets you apart is your age. You're actually very young to be a co-owner of a business, automotive or otherwise.
That's very true. That's very true. And that's funny you say that. My brother is actually 2 years younger than I am. So he's 30 and I'm 32. But him and I, we both have a very strong drive to see our business succeed. Not just because it's our family business, but because we have a large customer base that relies on us. We have a lot of people that rely on us, and we recognize from the moment that we were walking around the shop as little kids how important it is to be there for people.
Right.
So that's something we feel a lot of dedication.
That's great.
A lot of dedication to our business.
That's great. So looking ahead, what are your plans for the business? Are you going to grow or keep it at the size it is? Are you going to add more services? Where are you going?
Well, of course, what our focus is, and one of the things that we've discussed as a family, is to make this a all-in-one stop for your car needs. We really have covered a lot of that with adding the tag and title service to our existing service department and then revamping the sales department. That covers a lot of the needs for any automotive customer. There are other things that we can do that we will sublet out to companies that we have relationships with, car detailing, redoing convertible tops. We can do all of that here on premise, but some things in the automotive business, it doesn't make sense to add on because of the expense of it.
Right.
It makes sense to let the companies that specialize in those do that work.
Yes.
Scratch repairs, dent repairs. The gentleman that does my dent repairs, amazing work.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that I could find an employee that could do what he does for us.
Right.
So it helps supports his business with what we do.
It's the community of businesses that support each other that can also be very helpful. And it sounds like you spend a lot of time building those relationships
Very
and
much so.
maintaining them. It seems like a very important component of your business.
It is. It is. And it's easy enough. I'll say it's easy enough, you can buy them a tray of cookies or send a thank you like that, but what they want is business and genuine business.
Yes.
Upfront, honest, this is what I need, or this is what I need you to do for me. That and communication.
Right.
It's hard, and that's usually a lot of the breakdown when you're working with other companies.
Yes, and that seems to be one of your strong suits. So
Yes,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, along the way, you've mentioned that your father has been your mentor, but are there particular pieces of advice you would have for either other women in a male-oriented business or particularly young business owners, or just in general, something that you've learned along the way that maybe surprised you that other people could learn from as well?
Certainly. A couple of things that come to mind, some of the things that we talked about prior to our meeting today. Doing your homework. Every car that I sell is different. I have to do homework on each one of them. They're each a different object with different history, because I deal with cars ranging from a 1972 up to a 2012 or newer. So it's really widespread. Doing your homework about anything that you're involved in and having facts, true facts, is very important. If you're wishy-washy or you just kind of throw something out there to say something, doesn't work. It comes back at you.
Right.
If you can't answer a question for a customer, it is okay to say, I need to get back to you. Because they'd much rather have that than just having something given to them that's not factual. Some of the other things that I would pass on is being confident, especially as a woman. I feel that a lot of women my age, older, younger, the biggest thing is not having confidence within yourself. Self-worth is a big thing that women need to just wrap themselves around it, because you're very important as a person, and you have to remember that. Because you'll deal in the customer service industry with people who are just, you can't make them happy no matter what you do, and you have to recognize that. And you have to make sure that you know how much you're worth. And you have to be reimbursed for that from your customers. You have to have a level of balance with them.
Right.
You promise them something and you follow through with it. It makes you a better person.
Right, right.
Really
Now,
nice.
along the topic of balance, you mentioned that you have some very extensive hours that your customers can access you evenings and weekends. So how do you balance that with just think space outside the business and doing other things?
My other life?
Yes.
Well, I make myself available 24/7 by appointment. I did a lot of research before I decided to dedicate myself to doing that schedule. The reason why, with my experience in the tag and title part of the business, is that anyone that's not going to the MBA and wants to pay a little bit extra service fee to get their tags done is because they work. It's inconvenient for them to take off work all day. You figure you make probably, everyone's pretty generally over $100 a day, what they're making at work. Take off that whole day, you're losing that. You might as well come in the evening, you pay a small service fee, and it's all around your schedule. It's all around your schedule.
Right.
So it helps me too in my personal life because we're doing it by appointment. So if I need to leave here to run down to the bank, I don't have a customer coming in, so I can go do that and know that I'll be back by 2 o'clock for the next customer.
Right.
So that way I'm here and I'm ready for them. I do get walk-ins sometimes, which is perfectly fine. I'm typically in the office from 9 to 5. But I like to set up that appointment schedule because if it's on the weekend, if it's on a Sunday, it's fine. As long as we do it ahead of time and then everyone's on board.
Right. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate the time you spent sharing your insights with our audience, and I'm sure that some will have questions, so we'll have the contact information at the end of the video.
Thank you.
So thanks again for
Yes,
having us.
thank you so much.
Really
This was wonderful.
appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.